think being privileged to be able to listen to such a collection on Iqbal, I think many people will give anything to be in this position here, that we're in this room, to have the perspective of personal, family, and have that connection, and put all that together essentially in such a concise manner. I think it's been absolutely phenomenal, and thank you, Lisa, and to the TLC, which I need most occasionally, but not the one that you're offering. But that could also be a remedy as well. But thank you very much for that, and I think it's been a huge privilege for all of us to be here and to listen through this. I think probably in terms of the Nazia Hassan Memorial Lectures, I think this has to be probably the best that I've certainly been to, but I'm sure that people who've been to more will also appreciate that. Thank you, Lisa, for really putting a huge amount of effort, giving us a real insight to that. So appreciation for Lisa, please. If we can now just have, hopefully not too long an answering question session, we're just going to finish up as soon as we can. If there are people who want to contact Lisa or other perhaps sort of seminars and lectures they want to do, can you please directly email Lisa and do that, not perhaps to the foundation or to the TLC, because it's, I think, with this busy schedule, to try and coordinate all that, it's very difficult to do that. Can we please have questions only on the lecture that's been presenting today? Are people waving? I'll take those in. Can we not have questions about political affiliation? No general statements, please. I think we're in a very robust gathering, and we all have views. It's very important, but perhaps not on this occasion. So please, if you can refrain from doing that. And can you please begin with your name and if any organization that you represent?
Sir, you are here from the Press Culture Foundation. That if you haven't touched any thoughts on intellectual love affair of Iqbal with the ladies, like Atiya Friendly, German ladies. Can you elaborate on that, please?
Can you just take a few questions at a time so we might be able to Rasa?
Intellectual.
Tariq Dar, Pakistan se three English texts of Iqbal. I have tried to see them, and what has happened to them? You mentioned three English versions.
Take those two.
Intellectual love affairs. I have not extensively examined those particular events of Iqbal's life, but from what I know from a publication by Atiya Begum called Iqbal as I Knew Him, and some letters which were in English to a German lady called Anna Wagenast. Obviously it had to do with the same period of 1905 to 1908, when Iqbal was a student in Europe. He met Atiya Begum and they spent some time together in England and in Heidelberg, which Atiya Begum has documented in her book. The part that she has documented, and to the best of my recollection, has to do with certain mystical experiences that Iqbal recounted to her. And notably one where the spiritual leanings of Allama Iqbal's father are discussed. That he had these mystical leanings, and he recounted the story to Atiya Begum, and she documented it, that there came Iqbal's father, in the middle of the night, left suddenly, and Iqbal woke up and he saw that his father was leaving. So he said, "Where are you going?" And he said that there is a caravan that has come just outside the borders of Lahore, or the walls of Lahore, and there is somebody ailing in there and they need help, and I can go and help them. So in the middle of the night he travels there, and the story recounts that he goes and the ailment is fixed through some sort of spiritual healing. So that incident stands out. So there was some sort of mystical dialogue between Atiya Begum and Iqbal. With Emma Wegenast, the letters are in handwriting that I've not been able to decipher too well, but I remember one of the letters which says, and he writes to her in German saying that I have forgotten all my German. The only word I remember is Emma.
The gentleman at the back who had his paper up. The gentleman at the back with the paper up?
Oh, yes, sorry. I thought there was another question. Alama's three publications, The Development of Metaphysics in Persia, which was his PhD thesis, is in limited print. You can Google it and possibly it might be available. The Reconstruction of Religious Thought in Islam are 7 lectures. I had a whole part of my talk devoted to that, but because of time I left that out. But that is widely available. It is banned in Saudi Arabia because of the Wahhabi leanings, and they consider the 6 lectures the 7 lectures in which Allama Iqbal talks about the culture of the Islamic spirit, that is lecture number 5. Lecture number 6, considered to be one of his finest, the principle of movement in the structure of Islam, where he talks about the concept of ijtihad as the principle that links the eternal principles of Islam with constant change. That in the Wahhabi school of thought is found to be bordering on being a heretic. But otherwise, other than in Saudi Arabia, as far as I know, where it's widely available everywhere, and on Amazon. And Stray Reflections is a notebook of Allama Iqbal, his like jottings in a diary in the year 1910 when he was 33 years old and just returned from India. That is also, at least in Pakistan, is widely available. So, barring his PhD thesis, I think the other 2 publications are widely available.
Thank you. The gentleman at the back with
Very small, I thought, factual error. Did Paul go to Munich or Heidelberg?
He went to Heidelberg to learn German language.
But I remember that you said he obtained his doctorate.
His PhD was from the University of Munich, yes. He did go to Heidelberg, yes, but it was only to
He
learn
was
German.
awarded by Munich.
Yes. The PhD was awarded.
Hi, thanks. Amazing. I'm locally adopted. I was just wondering, his early part was huge discoveries of science and like atomic structure and a lot of science, and there's a lot of clash between science and religion. And I think Western Europe actually started to lose some religious thought in that way. So how is the dissonance we see in Iqbal? There's a lot of dissonance in what happens, what he says and things. So I think that created also his masterpieces. So how did he grapple with all his scientific discoveries? Did he actually mention anything about these discoveries and questioned his own religious thought? Thanks, if that makes sense.
Yes, actually, once again, that part I had to leave out. But
Sorry, just briefly.
the reconstruction of the religious thought in Islam, and particularly lecture number 5, which is titled The Spirit of Islamic Culture.
Right.
That is where the whole publication, this all 7 lectures are actually, the whole aim is to reconcile religion with science. That's what he's aiming to do in those lectures. And in lecture number 5 particularly, what he attempts and his exposition is that the religious experience is possible, that his intellectual predecessor or precursor, Sir Syed Ahmad Khan, sort of posited the formula that religion had to adapt itself to science. Iqbal does the opposite. He says that science has to adapt itself to religion, and religion is possible, and the religious experience is as tangible as scientific experience. He equates thought, which is the concrete scientific experience, with intuition, which is religious experience. And he says that you can't say that one is of sense perception as the other is not. They are both of sense perception, and they both can be reconciled. And in fact, in his lecture, The Culture of Islamic Spirit, what he most prominently points out is that it was the Islamic scholars which led a revolt against classical Greek thinking, and that led to a series of other disciplines like mathematics, that led to medicine, that led to astronomy. So it was the Muslim mind, it was the Muslim thought process that had founded those sciences, which later on the West developed and advanced, while Muslims got left behind. He laments about that. And where he appreciates creativity, That's what he says, that Muslims, the Muslim community, fell behind because it abandoned takhliq and it went into taqleed. Like it abandoned creativity and it went into copycatting. So, however, the idea again is that he constantly in his lectures, in his English publication 1934, his magnum opus, which is the most complex and least understood of his works, he makes the reconciliation between science and religion. And he doesn't call it a dissonance. He says that the fountainhead is Islam. Yes, sir.
Just with permission, thank you. Just for it was, but there was a disparity. That wasn't the main discourse in his poetry and but amazing. I didn't know what the spirit what you already told.
I would recommend that you read particularly lecture number 5, the spirit of Islamic culture.
Thank you, excellent. Thank you very much.
We've got 3 people, and they must be very, very short questions. We've got a lot of people who want to do one and 4, so we'll just take them very quickly. If you start first, you'll...
I just want to make a comment. I thank
No comment, sorry.
I thank Waleed for his very passionate lecture, but I also want to draw on the fact that Iqbal did draw his inspiration from the Holy Quran, particularly the fact that he's got social democracy as a very important facet of human perspective. Unfortunately, we've forgotten that in Pakistan, as Khalid Mahmood pointed out at the beginning of this discourse.
Very quickly, please.
Assalamu alaikum. I'm Farah Ahmed. I'm a media and radio personality for Sunrise Radio. Very interesting speech you've given about the poet. And as a radio presenter, I'm very passionate about what I do. Music is very passionate, and I think for him, poetry, he was very passionate about it. It's for me, poetry would have been like a journey, memories, feelings, and emotions for him. And in one of when you were talking, he said that one does not really know themselves. Why do you think he said that one does not know himself in his poetry?
Just very quickly. Gentleman at the back, the lady there.
Just
Very quickly, please.
you mentioned in the beginning of the talk that Iqbal's father, he instructed Iqbal to read the Quran in such a way that it is revealed upon you. Do you think Iqbal himself was Sahib-e-Ilham? Because we do see reflection in his poetry. And second thing, I was reading a poet, one of his shared, Iqbal फरमाते हैं कि आँख जो देखती है, लब पे आ सकता नहीं, मैं पे हैरत हूँ, दुनिया क्या से क्या हो जाए. What was that? Nothing actually happened.
Sorry, this lady here, very quickly.
Thank you so much. I'm Kuban student. I wanted to ask about the time when he convinced Jinnah to come back to India to lead Muslims. I want to ask, what do you think he saw in Jinnah? I mean, he was the best person to ask this question to. And also, why do you think he was the only person who could convince Jinnah to come back?
Yeah, in order of appearance. Poetry, Iqbal uses poetry. He himself acknowledges, he says, I'm not a poet. He says, I use poetry only as a vehicle to forward my thought. He says, खुशा गई है जहाँ को कलंदरी मेरी, वगरना शेर मेरा क्या है, शायरी क्या है. But that was just a sort of humorous poem that I quoted from, all to make the point that he had a multifaceted personality. I mean, he knew what was going on, and he knew himself very well. Sorry, the question from the back was what? Yes. The first part was the question.
Because we do see reflection in his poetry.
He was blessed by God with a gift of creativity. That's all I would say. He worked immensely hard. So he's famously known to have said that genius is the infinite capacity to take pain. So I think he definitely pained over his work, but also God had gifted him. That's all I can say. What did he see in Jinnah? There were, in the address in 1930 that he made, he says that a great leader is something that the Muslim community is lacking. This is 1930. And he says that good leaders' qualities, in the Allahabad address of 1930, his words are to the effect that he is somebody who understands the spirit and the destiny of Islam and also has a grip over the flow of the times that he is in. And he says that such leaders are not made to order, they are gifts from God. But he does not see that leader at the time. It's only 5 or 6 years later that he comes across Jinnah and the qualities that he admires. Iqbal admired the quality of passion or ishq. Iqbal admires the quality of courage, of conviction. Iqbal admires the quality of freedom, freedom from the chains of taqleed or originality. And Iqbal admires the dervishism, which is indifference towards trappings of power and fame and material things. So he saw all these qualities in Muhammad Ali. That's why he thought of him as the hero.
Thank you very much. I think that's all of the questions, and I know we've taken a huge amount of time, although it's a very enlightening time that we spent here. I would now like to call His Excellency the High Commissioner for Pakistan to give his opinion in a few words in honor of Pakistan.
Well, thank you very much. Assalamu alaikum, and good evening to all of you. And could I start by wishing you Eid Mubarak, because we are still in the celebrating mode. Before I could come to the lecture itself, could I also take the opportunity to thank the Literary Circle, the Nazi Hassan Foundation for organizing this event. But of course, it would have not been possible had it not been the support of my dear friend and brother, our Honorable Member of Parliament, Mr. Khalid Mahmood, because he has been always in the forefront, he has been always supportive of the community. Thank you very much, sir, because without his cooperation, I think we would have not been able to celebrate the poet of the East, the person, the poet who put philosopher who put forward the idea of Pakistan. And of course, we would have not had the opportunity to listen to a very scholarly talk of his grandson, a very comprehensive talk on the life and the works of Dr. Allama Muhammad Iqbal, who has been sort of rightly called as the poet of Pakistan, national poet, poet of the East. And I would say his message is not only confined to a particular country, a particular region, but it's universal. And I think these days we need to heed to that message of Iqbal more than ever before, because his message of inclusivity, humanity, and bringing together the fundamentals of Islam and bringing modernity. When we spoke of Ijtihad, that was the idea, that was the concept. So it was wonderful to sort of listen to Walid Iqbal Sahab for very comprehensive talk. But let me also add here that this is gratifying for me personally, that at a forum like this, of course with the efforts of Khalid Mahmood Sahab, we are able to sort of spread this message. A couple of months ago, we were very fortunate to have done similar thing at the mission, at the High Commission for Pakistan, where we organized an event or an evening where we discussed the poetry, the message of the great poet. But of course, we did not have a person of his stature there, but definitely we celebrated the poetry and his message. And I'm also very happy to share with you that last evening, because of the courtesy of the Fairs Cultural Foundation, we had again a very literary session at another venue where a scholarly person of the stature of Zia Muhyiddin was with us, and we were very fortunate to have listened to. So this is a great thing that we are having these lectures, talks in Urdu, and all the philosophy of the first great poet and Dr. Allama Iqbal. As I said, the message of inclusivity, humanity is needed more these days, as it would have been 100 years ago when it was delivered. Why I say that? Because if you look around, we see chaos, we see sort of a lack of clarity, And that's why, things are happening what we see every day. If we keep the Dr. Iqbal's message in front of us and try to follow it in the letter and spirit, I'm sure we would be creating a much better world than what we are going through. Iqbal had a message for everyone. His audience were students, where he gave the message of hope. His audience, his targeted audience were the rulers, where we just heard from Walid Saab, when he talked in his particular discourse, he talked about the nation, Ummah, and I think the message is as relevant today as it was about 1900 years ago. A while ago I also, like you, heard from him, that how a nation is formed, and the populace is the range of that, and leaders are this and that. You just all heard it now. I don't want to repeat. So I think the message needs to be followed, because he also went through different phases, and he was also accused of various things during his lifetime, but he never gave it up. As Kaval Singh Sahib said, at one stage, he was a proponent of the Tarane-Hind, where he said, Sare jahan se acha Hindustan hamara, bulbule hain miski, Gulistan hamara. So he was talking about India only, the undivided India. The next phase, as we heard from Walid Saab, came, when he talked of, a little more universal message. And, that's the time when he said, Chino Arab hamara, Hindustan hamara, Muslim ham, Sara jahan. So he was talking of universality. His message was of universal nature. He was not confining his message. And then came a stage where he also talked, Neil ke sahil se lekar Tabakha ki kash, ek ummat haram ki paswan. So I think these different phases are eye-openers for all of us. And we need to study as much as possibly we can, because even after 80, 90 years of his passing away, I think the message, which was at times hidden, at times very open, we have not been able to decipher, because to come to the level of that great philosopher, poet, I think it needs a lot of research, a lot of effort. So I'm sure, sessions like this, where we have a very informed audience, we have a galaxy of scholars here, we have, I see many intellectuals sitting here, and I'm sure they are analyzing every word what has been uttered here by Walid Saab or by an informed person like me. Because you see, we need to look at very closely, and there's a message. There's a message for the entire Muslim world, as well as for every nation. And that is that we have to keep pace with the changing times. We have to move on. We have to be inclusive, humanity, and of course, the message of Islam no way is in contradiction with overall message of humanity, and it's a universal message which we have to sort of follow in letter spirit. We cannot be exclusive. We cannot be sort of taking it in bits and pieces. So I think with this I would say that it was an evening very well spent. Thank you very much, Walid Saab, for very forcefully putting forward the message and giving a comprehensive view of what he believed in, what was his works, what was his life, what he went through, and what he believed in. I think in the end, he was a great believer in humanity. This is what we just heard, the example of the nanny he had for his children, etc., etc. So I think humanity and humanity, that was his message. So we welcome, I think that message which was given about 100 years ago is very relevant, very pertinent, and I wish we could all follow it, then probably we will never go wrong. With this, once again, I will thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for being very patient here, listeners, for being a wonderful, supportive audience, because I think this was, a very important discourse. But with this late hour, I don't want to go further. And once again, I would like to thank the Nazia Hassan Foundation, her mother. Let me share with you, ladies and gentlemen, that she was, of course, the very iconic figure, cultural figure of Pakistan. We regret, she passed away at a very young age, but thank you to the Nazia Hassan Foundation for keeping her memories alive. And also, I just learned that, this literary circle is being run by three wonderful ladies here, Mo Price, and Sandra. Sandra, you said he was very humble, but let me share with you, he is very humble, but humility runs in the family. Even Dr. Iqbal was a very simple person. He led a very simple life because he preached what he believed in, not that what he did not believe he preached. Thank you very much.
Perhaps somebody who doesn't expect to be speaking, I think he's trying to make his way out of the room at the moment because he's very, very patient. Listen to this, probably the youngest member of the audience, Arez Hassan, who's been with us very, very, I think, well, sitting here with all of the salt movies and also going through a very hot room, which must have been very, very difficult. I noticed it before, so I apologize for that. I think we didn't quite sort out the air conditioning before we started and didn't expect it to be this warm. We normally don't. With 2 days of summer is enough in 3 days, and unfortunately we need that. So, Rez, please, if you can say a few words. You can come out front if you want to stay there.
Sure. I think I'll stay here 6 times.
Yeah.
I think in such a time when marriage of both religion and domestic laws are relevant throughout nations, I feel that the message preached by one of the greatest Islamic poets, if not the greatest Islamic poet, is timeless and is more relevant now than ever before. I feel, for me, who was 18 and just finished my studies, it gives a new dimension to not only philosophy, but science. Because, as Stephen Hawking says, what is science without the belief in God? And I feel that's been emanated through today, and intrinsically is a message that we can all learn from. And thank you for an amazing evening. Thank you.
MashaAllah, very, very wise words for such a senior audience. So thank you very much.
I think both of them.
No, MashaAllah, everybody else.
Youngest, two or
Of course,
three.
yes. I'm not going to go into the age because I always get myself in trouble. So let's leave it at that. Our next speaker is the founder of the Nazia Hassan Foundation. As I said before, my sister, a very good friend, and somebody who always looks towards support and guidance myself. She has committed herself, a passion and dream to keep going the legacy of her great daughter. As we said, unfortunately, he was taken from us at a very, very early age. It was tragic, personally for the family, but also for the nation and to the culture of Asian music. A huge loss at a very early stage, and so very tragic. When the Literary Circle asked if I could dedicate this lecture, asked if they could dedicate this lecture to WALID IQBAL Sahab, Maniza was very happy. Said that she never knew that he was a lawyer, and she does now. But I think she still realizes that he is still, I think, in the footsteps of his grandfather and his father, is also somebody who keeps their heritage and culture very much alive and close. So, Maniza, please, if you can say a few words, appreciate it.
Thank you very much. Before I say anything else, I have been, I would say, instructed by the literary that a very short time, so I should really go 2 times. So I won't be able to say anything because I don't want anyone to be uncomfortable there. But 1 or 2 things one has to say. I thought this was one of the most impressive evenings I had. I mean, it was really more like a dream where you could see someone sitting at a distance and telling you whatever is going wrong, you have the answer. Your Quran and then see the way I understood it and what message I tried to give you. And that is something, this is how I kept on feeling. Then wonderful speeches. I heard Raul, so beautiful. Sandra, I met them for the first time, but I felt really good and I'm very happy and my best wishes would be on the breeze. I think we will be able to have many such evenings. Then comes the main person. It is really, it is sort of a very impressive, I said. I do not have another word for it. It's a dream-like kind of thing. I spoke to Homa. Homa was doing something with me with Nadia's and Foundation thing at that time, like we are doing. Have these three wonderful ladies, what they have done, yes. And she said to me here in London, and she said, Nunisa, we had family of Lahore. Why didn't you get in touch with WALID IQBAL? I said, Mama, I don't know the gentleman. And so I didn't know. She said, everyone knows him. I said, right, mistake. And then I see this gentleman here today, and it's really more like a story. I went to Lahore really for the first time. You know, there's a gaon se jaate hain, sheher mein. This is how I was there. Something went wrong with the program and there was a lot of commotion. And I didn't have the host number, I didn't have anything. And everyone ran away. And I said, oh my God, what am I going to do? I really didn't know anything, and who walks in? This gentleman walks in. And he takes control of the thing and he takes me to the people's house where I was staying. And that's it. I didn't know who this was. And when he said today, I said, oh yes, 20 years ago. Yes, that's right. So it's really, that's why I said the whole thing today is so wonderful. Because we all are very aware of the situation in Pakistan, we are very aware of the situation in the whole world. And we have a message there. And I was thinking of my childhood, that probably there was not a single school anywhere in Pakistan where Lag Pe Aati Hai Dua. Every morning it was sung there. And I feel that yes, we do have to take that very seriously for our children. My son doesn't know, I call him my son because he insists here. And of course, this beautiful, very capable, wonderful young man, yes. So that's of course here. Now, going back to their job, everyone has done such a wonderful thing. And Toma gave me the instructions that these are the names, every name you have to read. Now, if I forget one name, then I have it, yeah. But here, I don't think I can forget any of these names. Of course, we start with the, now, we start from, okay, three of you. We start. Come on, three of you. And you want to say something, please say it.
I also have been to interrupt you and have to say thank you on behalf of TLC.
I think that's a good statement. Yes, it can be made again. Yeah. Okay, that's the statement which you were giving just now. That's what I said. There's nothing intelligent about this, nothing at all. It was just a note I was talking about, yeah. And of course, I mean, the way I look at it, Khalid, as he says, he's been really like my younger brother from the times we needed him for Nadia's and Foundation. Your story I have said, and I am really very impressed by our ambassador. He and his wife, the way they have met people and the way they have won their hearts, it's really exceptionally wonderful. And I think these three ladies, they needed some help. From what I understand, there is someone who is sitting in the corner, was a part of it, and he tried. Yes. Now the team names, as I said, I must read them. And if I make a mistake, it's not because of me, because the handwriting is... So we start with the volunteers, which is, of course, most important section. It's Ruby Hussain, Afzal, Akram. Oh, I think I know the gentleman. Then it's Lashari, we just talked about him. Sadia Kazi. I think it will be nice if somebody raises their hand, because we won't know otherwise. Yeah. Yes, see that smile tells you. And then Noshin, Saira, yes, that's good. Tuba, and then it is Amir.
Mukhtar.
Yeah, okay. आप अपना नाम दोबारा कह दीजिए क्योंकि आधा नाम मैंने लिया. That's fine. That's fine. And then Irfan Bhatt, Fareed, and Imtiaz, if I'm reading correctly. Yes. I think these are the people who really made it. There's no doubt about it.
Maybe you could choose this career person, Ms. Kumar.
Of course, she has to be. I mean, as I said, when she came, charged with me, how could you not invite her? So it would have been an honor for me. I just didn't know him. But there will be other
This is
times.
the award ceremony you're talking about in Lahore.
In Lahore, that's what I
Javed
said.
Iqbal's family was the only family missing from the literary circle in Pakistan. That's why I asked you one thing.
There is going to be another time, so there will be.
Inshallah.
And I think thank you everyone. I haven't seen audience like that. We are the same people who talk and we shout and we eat and drink and whatever. But today, it must be because of you. It was wonderful the way everyone listened to it and remembered what to say, what to do. I have one young angry man, that is my boy, because he was going with his friends. He came here. But see,
So finally, ladies and gentlemen, again, thank you very much. I think all of us really enjoyed the event. I think in conclusion, we just say a big thank you to the lead staff. Thank you very much. Thank you.